Every week we're going to start to do. Every week we're going to have a special guest college football picker. Sometimes it'll be a celebrity. Sometimes it'll be a friend. Sometimes it'll be Roscoe the Pickin' Chicken.
Roscoe the Pickin' Chicken, everyone's favorite.
This week, the person that we have tricked into coming on and doing the college football picks is one of the preeminent college football wonks in America.
Wonk is a technical term, I believe.
We are pleased to be joined by Bill Connelly of SB Nation, my good friend. Hi, Bill.
How are you doing?
Happy college football season, my friend.
That's right. I mean, we're at a desperate enough stage where we kind of found some entertainment from last night, but the real stuff should start pretty soon.
I watched a lot, so I would have been watching Rice in Western Kentucky, as would have been my job, but I don't get CBS Sports Network, not that I missed a ton.
So that was my torture, personal hell.
Not that I missed a ton. I did watch a ton. I watched a lot of that Appalachian State Tennessee game. How many games did you have on cycle last night?
That was the main one. I caught up with Minnesota, Oregon State, and then, of course, the vaunted South Carolina Vanderbilt matchup this morning. But really, the Appalachian State game, I expected it to kind of like lose your attention after a while. It very much did not. So that was the one I stuck with most of the time.
And you, of course, wrote up a preview for every college football team in America on SB Nation. It is an absurd amount of work. And so you've been at it for, 6 months, 7 months. And so when college football actually arrives, as somebody who has dove as deep as literally anybody on earth into college football, is it a happy moment? Is it a bit of relief? What's your reaction when the first week of college football actually rolls around?
Well, I mean, it's like, so basically the previews set up the question. Like I never come up with any, here's exactly how they're going to be or anything like that. It's basically, here are the things they need to happen if they're going to be good, and if they don't, then they'll probably be really bad, and things of that nature. So this is just a full sensory immersion kind of thing here these first couple of weeks where we actually have a chance to start getting answers. We know, well, we don't know, we should know to not jump to complete conclusions after one game, but it's at least the first shot at figuring out, okay, is this unit actually going to be any good? Is this new quarterback going to have it or not? And we can start going down that road. So it's a lot. It's kind of overwhelming the first of the year. I definitely don't travel the first couple of weeks of the season because you're just trying to get as many impressions of as many teams as possible.
And in the same way that I think you and I have a kinship here, that we are frequently accused of hating a certain team, and the team that has really been on you from our neck of the woods is Houston. Houston.
Yeah.
You have felt the wrath of Houston fans, which we have too.
Oh, yeah, we have.
We have felt the wrath of Houston fans as well.
Yeah.
Why do you hate Houston?
Yeah, my numbers at least. I mean, what the numbers saw from last year, I do work with what I call the S&P Plus. I've been posting to Football Outsiders for a long time, and what the numbers saw was, a team that, from a pure stat standpoint, probably shouldn't have beaten Louisville, probably shouldn't have beaten Cincinnati, probably shouldn't have beaten Memphis. They were improved dramatically over the previous year. They were clearly, they got a little bit of an artificial ding because, the numbers really didn't like them when Greg Ward was out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they were a little, I guess you could say, artificially low in that regard because of the full season rating. But they saw a team that probably, as good as they were at executing down the stretch, they were probably a little too good and probably not unsustainably good. And therefore they ranked, I don't remember where they finished up, but not good. And so, yeah, I got yelled at a lot. That's fine. I got yelled at by Iowa fans too. They stopped yelling at the Stanford game, but about midway through the season, they started yelling, or midway through the offseason, they started yelling again.
Mm-hmm.
Drink up those Iowa tears.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, you're talking to an Iowa State fan over here.
They've been drinking up
my
tears for years.
Which, by the way, they exist.
Yes,
Iowa State fans.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
I like the hire they made.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
For once.
He is Bill Connelly of SB Nation. Follow him on Twitter at SBN_Bill C. All right, Bill, you've got to set the bar here. We're going to ask everyone we have every week we're going to ask them to pick 5 games. And we're going to keep track of who does the best and who does the worst. So you got to set the bar here, and it's a tough week, I think. You're kind of stepping out of the frying pan into the fire here with this week. We will start, though, the 5 games we've got for Bill Connelly. First and foremost, the Battle of I-10 out in El Paso. New Mexico State visits UTEP. the return of one of our favorite players in the nation, Aaron Jones. What do you make? Who are you taking in New Mexico State and UTEP?
Well, I'm going to assume, the vaunted home field advantage after that long road trip to El Paso. I think that'll come in handy for UTEP. I really UTEP's a tough team to read because they were going to regress last year anyway. They were really young after pretty senior heavy team led them to a bowl. They were going to take a step backwards, and then it's got every good player just got wrecked by injury. And so we saw kind of the underbelly there. It was proven that they don't have very good depth, but depth only matters if your starters are out. And so in theory now, with more experience and whatnot, and some at least a couple of playmakers on defense, maybe they can move forward a little bit. I mean, they will move forward, but it's whether they take like one step or 3 or 4. So I think I like them in this game simply because it is at home in New Mexico State. Hasn't been good in quite a while. They were about equals last year, but I would assume UTEP's ceiling's a little higher.
They're also Larry Rose-less, we heard, which
no
Larry Rose means no happy days.
Yeah, that stinks. Yeah,
and those are two players of Aaron Jones and Larry Rose, men after our own hearts.
Yes.
We love them very much.
Yes,
All right, next one. Interesting, the debut of Seth Luttrell at North Texas. He hosts SMU and Chad Morris, two really interesting coaches.
Yes.
But as far as the players are concerned, Bill Connelly, SMU at North Texas.
We're going to say SMU. SMU is a year ahead.
Right.
They got their year zero situation out of the way last year, and now they kind of know what they've got. For now, I think everybody's healthy at least, and so I would put them ahead of the game here. Luttrell, we know what he wants to build, and he might do it really well, but they just both teams had terrible defenses last year. SMU's offense was actually semi-interesting, and now they've got the same guy again. So we'll go SMU.
I think that's we're going to get to my picks in a moment in free money, but this is good. UCLA visits Texas A&M, a game I've gone back and forth on about 100 times. Please clarify it for me. UCLA at Texas A&M.
You want me to clarify? Well,
yes, please.
Well, I'm gonna say A&M probably has a little more desperation in this one. Maybe that gives them a little bit of an edge. That and the fact that Josh Rosen decided to basically dare the crowd into being as loud as it's ever been. So we'll say that sways things a little bit. A&M's got a lot to prove. This is their first experienced team in 4 years. And that alone might make them a little better than anybody's really anticipating. But their schedule is just so rugged from start to finish, and this is a really, really big game for them. It's not nearly as big for UCLA, I don't think.
So you're taking A&M?
Yes.
All right, there we go. Notre Dame at Texas, a Sunday night affair as they come calling to Austin. What do you make of this Irish versus Longhorns?
Man, I loved Notre Dame about 3 weeks ago, and then they've done everything in their power to try to get me to doubt them. The offense, maybe a 2-quarterback system works great, and maybe it's a disaster. Even really good coaches can overthink quarterback situations. We saw it with Nick Saban and Urban Meyer last year. And then, with the questionable secondary, it really does seem like they're vulnerable. But I just think, especially out of the gate there, I still think they're a better team. So until I see that I'm wrong and they're not a top 10 team, I'm going with the Irish.
Notre Dame. And finally, the big one down in Houston at NRG Stadium in Houston, 11 a.m. tomorrow. I'm excited. Oklahoma takes on a team that Bill Connelly is on record as saying is the worst team in college football, Houston. Oklahoma and Houston, the Sooners and the Cougs, arguably a college football playoff chance on the line here for Houston. Maybe the same for Oklahoma. What do you make of Oklahoma and Houston?
Well, I mean, if Houston's the worst team in the country, how am I going to pick? How am I going to pick against Oklahoma?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I like that this game's right up front because we will get a lot of answers about Houston, and if they win, I'll be excited because honestly, like with the playoff situation, I don't know what it's going to take for a quote unquote mid-major to really have a shot. But beating Florida State last year, doing what they did last year, and if they do finish undefeated, beating Oklahoma and Louisville, if that's not enough, then you just need to start a new subdivision. Or join the Big 12. We'll see how that goes.
Right.
But, yeah, I think OU's just a better team out of the gate here, and I think it won't be a huge home field advantage. So, OU.
There it is, Bill Connelly's picks.
First.
UTEP over New Mexico State, SMU over North Texas, Texas A&M over UCLA, Notre Dame over Texas, and Oklahoma over Houston. He is Bill Connelly.
Chalk.
Follow him on Twitter. Chalk, going Chalk. At SBN_Bill C on Twitter. Buy his book, Study Hall, College Football, its stats and its stories, and see his fine work at SBNation.com. Bill, appreciate your time, and enjoy the first week of college football.
Absolutely. Thank you.